It's time for Where You Live with Gene and Tony, the show that's all about owning, buying, selling, renting, and association management. If it involves a home, we'll talk about it. Here's your chance to get your homeowner questions answered. From the Concierge Landscape Studios, here's Gene and Tony.
Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. Needed someone to understand my ups and downs, and there you were.
Good morning, and welcome once again to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. I'm Gene Sullivan.
And I'm Tony Crockett.
Good morning, Tony. Today we're going to be asking the question, what is reasonable? Sometimes it just seems like with the stories that we hear here on Where You Live, you wonder and ask that question, where is the reason in all of this? And we've got a couple of stories here that beg that question. We're going to be talking about an HOA that put a kibosh on a kids' lemonade stand. We also have even another state representative from another state, North Carolina this time, who now wants to stop HOAs from being able to foreclose. Is that reasonable? And we even have a listener from Where You Live who is asking, what is reasonable? What should I know before I buy into a townhome or condominium association?
As you're listening this morning, if you have a comment or a question or a story, please call us 651-289-4488 and let us know what's on your mind.
And right now, it's time for Property Management in the News. And today's story is brought by from a article in the North Palm Beach News in Florida, and it says, Kids Lemonade Stand Curtailed by the Homeowners Association. You want to buy some lemonade, a vendor asks. The vendors are children ages 5 through 10. Their neighborhood homeowners association is unhappy with the business. We didn't know there was a problem, but we just received a letter a couple of weeks ago saying that they were trying to shut us down, said Deborah Cohen. They didn't like it because they don't have children like us, added Jessica Cohen, one of the small business vendors. The name of the homeowners association, the Prosperity Harbor Homeowners Association, filed a complaint which says signs are prohibited and business may not be conducted in the neighborhood. According to the vendors, HOA bylaws say they can't have a business in the community. It's a sense of camaraderie. They're having a good time. It's keeping them focused on a positive task, said Elizabeth Lerner, a mother of one of the children. For the children, the stand is about having fun with friends and raising money for a good cause. My friend has a disabled sister, so we donate these proceeds to her school, said Rachel Strauss. Attempts to contact the HOA failed. The parents of the children say the number of complaints the HOA received was less than 10.
This is a great story to base our discussion of reasonableness on. Would a reasonable person consider this a business that interfered with the homeowners association?
I know it makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, on the one hand, we both know and understand that HOAs have a right to determine their own rules and regulations.
That's
and
right.
They can set that up as long as it doesn't conflict with other things that are against the law.
Or against their governing documents. Mm-hmm. That's right.
They can do that. But, you know, when you ask today, as our discussion is, what is reasonable? Mm-hmm. Is it reasonable? Is there anybody in their right mind that would liken a child's lemonade stand to a Minnesota business or wherever this is from?
That's right. I would make this argument. I would say this is not a business. These children are playing. They're playing outside. As long as they clean up after themselves and that they're not impeding anyone getting through the neighborhood, This is play, and I can prove it's not a business because it doesn't have to be licensed by the state of Florida. It's not inspected by the state of Florida. They don't have payroll. They don't, you know what I'm saying? You could go through the list of what identifies a business in the state of Florida, and I bet this would not be described as a business.
By all that test, yes.
I would say it's play.
Now, we certainly understand why an HOA does say you have to be careful in not allowing a business to be conducted in an HOA. There are a lot of reasons that people have or problems when someone is allowed to run a business. Parking, for example, is always a big hassle. If you had a business that drew that was retail and drew a lot of customers in, you had traffic. You have those kinds of issues. You have noise, operations, the hours of operation for the business. You have employees that would need parking. And when you get right down to it, an HOA, when they say you can't have a business, they're just enacting what a lot of municipalities already have in place too, because a lot of times you do not see that mixed use. Sometimes you do, and there's special variances that are allowed, but generally
in a residential neighborhood,
they keep that separate.
That's right. It's a residential neighborhood. You cannot have a business that generates traffic. One thing I have that struck me about this story, though, was at the very end, the parent said the number of complaints about the lemonade stand that the HOA received was fewer than 10. My first thought was, 8, 9, 10 complaints. That's a lot of complaints about a single issue. So they're kind of minimizing that. If there were really, between 5 and 10 complaints, that's a lot.
But we don't know that. It could also be that there was one complaint, because that's fewer than 10.
That's true. Or it could be there were 10 complaints by the same person.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what this comes down to for me is, I don't know this to be true, Tony, but I can't help but think that this was spurred by an individual who is just miserable and complaining and mad because they went to the association to ask for their way in a particular matter. They didn't get it. And so now they're saying, I'm going to make sure if I can't have what I want, I'm going to make sure that others can't have what they want as well.
Yeah, that happens too often, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's too bad. I have to say, I make a point of pulling over and stopping at lemonade stands when I see them on the street, because I like to encourage young people to be self-starters and to be entrepreneurial. And we all know that's usually the first business we run, isn't it?
I was thinking the same thing, too. When I see a lemonade stand, one of the things I want to do is I want to stop.
Yep.
And it's what's not fun about that, And I have never, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen one lemonade stand that has been terrible in terms of trash or seedy people hanging around, loitering. None of that happens whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it just makes you just wonder.
Where is the reasonableness test?
Yes, for some of the people in the homeowners association that complained. I mean, really, come on.
Yeah.
But then also, from the standpoint of the board too, couldn't the board say, you know what, this isn't the same.
Right.
But if they truly meant for that to be no lemonade stands, they can put that in the rules.
But isn't this the kind of thing that just wears you out as a board member? It mires you down. It slows the whole progress of the homeowners association to deal with this petty kind of I don't know, vitriol.
Yes, it does. And one of the things that we want to take a look a little bit later today in the show is we want to look further into asking how should an HOA approach setting up rules and regulations for their association. We've got another story a little bit later on today that is also equally just amazing, I guess, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But that is property management in the news today, and that's been brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need to get rid of unwanted pests in your home or rental property, Call someone who's responsive, professional, and a proud member of Angie's List. Give owner Greg Keener a call at 952-894-9748. That's Pest Control Services. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about another state representative in another state who wants to say foreclosures should be prohibited from an HOA. Back after this.